Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spotted. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 22nd of January, and well, not too much happened, but we have had a little bit of movement overnight. Let's go look at the charts. Oh, where's my volume profile chart? There you are. All right, so you can see here in treasuries, we had a little bit of a move up yesterday, actually. I was really surprised here at around 15. There was a really big order, and then they got pushed higher. Now, the point of control did end up being higher, but this move right here was likely a stop out, and then they came up to here. Now, overnight, they have pushed higher. They moved up to try and get this price. That looks like that's possibly rejection. And considering that above 20, you're getting into the crazy Iran action from a week or two ago, it would make a lot of sense for them to reject higher prices there. And the E-mini here, they had a little bit of a down move, but it was interesting. They recovered prices on the open, but then just kind of ended the day flat. Now today, a little bit higher. So, but overall, these are relatively muted moves. And that kind of puts us to where we are today. It's still just looks like a pretty quiet market here. And I guess there is the impeachment going on. Nothing market moving, of course. That whole thing is just already becoming a complete circus. I do have what I think is a useful analysis on this, but I think maybe that would be better saved for a little bit later. Yeah. There's a camera here. It's kind of noticing is a little bit off. This, man. It's that little thing there. Come on down a little bit. There we go. Well, here since the open, the 10-year, a small push down. Not huge. It is down. It's pulling. Where is my chart? Where's the right chart? There it is. Can't trade it. You can't trade it off of that bar, but we are trending down pretty good. Let's load up our levels here. Oh, you know what? Let's output. See, it's doing it again. Cannot access the file because it's being used by another process. But then I bet you I look here in Jigsaw. Okay, it was trying to load the ZN. If I reload this chart, do they change? Those could have been yesterday's levels. Okay. I don't know. How come this didn't go away? That's weird. There we go. Okay. Whatever. Whatever. Dum, bum, bum, ba. Looks like a bit of a battle. They seem to be in disagreement. Okay. This is not a great this is not necessarily a great trading setup for me, to be honest. Okay. I think we should pay attention here though. So they did on that move down. And then definitely on the move up, especially at 15, they stacked a little bit. They pulled. There was a lot of orders pulling when they did that. Hmm. Luke was saying it went up so fast I can see this going back to highs. I'm disgusted. And Alligator's like, no FOMO. That is definitely what they're trying to do here is trying to get everybody to FOMO in. Okay, so 5K absorbed at 16.5. And a decent amount at L3 in the 5-year as well. The E-mini is churning around here. We do have some news coming up, don't we? And I didn't even check that bit. Wednesday, Canadian CPI. Just Canadian numbers. It seems like the E-mini sure is flickering around a lot for this time of day. There was a little bit of liquidity building on the offer, but it has since returned back to normal. And in fact, the liquidity on the inside is now fairly low on both of them. Oh, it increased to push it up. Hmm. They are taking the nomination away from Bernie for a second time rigged? Why is he saying that? That's a little weird. Alligator, same for me. Upside overnight was virus and tariffs with EU, but large pullback invalidates trend day confused. I would be careful about the news headlines, though. So far, I don't think, just on the virus thing, my personal feeling right now, of course, this is a situation that can change very quickly, but I don't think that 400 people sick with a cold in China is a huge deal. Hmm. Okay, so the offers pulled, but we ticked down. Chicago Fed National Activity Index for December negative spot 35 versus spot 13 estimate. That was not a piece of information that I had on my calendar. It's interesting to me that Donald Trump is tweeting about Bernie Sanders this morning. That's really weird to me. Why would he? He hasn't. He was hardly said anything about the impeachment trial. So I maybe they were able to convince him that it was a bad idea to tweet about it. I don't know. 36 at 16.5. There was a little bit of size there before when we ticked up the first time, so that pulls. Well, it pulled 1,000 pulls. If I get a click at 16.5 and it's a pull, then okay. So that one was a pull at 7. At 7.5. Some orders going into 7 and absorbing. Oh dear, I need to fix my window there. There we go. That's super quiet this morning. This order flow is really interesting to me, but it does not look to me like a clear direction. Not yet. I suppose that could change. It does look to me like they're fighting it out a lot more strongly than I thought that they would. So I don't necessarily see a reason at the moment to trade it. Well, there's definitely liquidity building up at 16.5 and 16. Oh, they pulled that. Did they pull that? It is now 15 at 16.5. Oh, there's gonna be an iceberg there for sure. Yeah, okay, so about 3,000 to clear it. No big pulls in that either. Both sides pulling actually. Oh, that's not supposed to happen. I think you sell that. I think you sell that. I can't do it on my with the Wyatt trade. I don't think I can do that, but I think you sell at 16. So now 15.5 is pulling to 700, and only one order has gone through it yet. After all of that volume that was there at 16.5 and 17. Yeah, that's a sell, I think. I guess I should put an addendum to that. I think that that's a sell, but they can probably toy around with the with the book a lot. They're probably just trying to shake us around. ES also kind of doing some interesting stuff. Notice that it is at the lower end of its range right now. Excuse me, almost I'm choking on some water here. Yeah, why are you all the way over there? Okay, another down tick.
Chris Kahn says morning, how are bonds looking like? I used to be in your room.
Hey, Chris. Yeah, that name doesn't sound too familiar to me, but welcome back. Or maybe you mean the Discord. Well, this morning, they're looking pretty chippy. Which is to say that if you were taking trades anywhere within here, you'd probably feel a little frustrated because you either
Chris
lost
Kahn
money.
says Discord.
Oh, in the Discord. Okay. You either lost money or you have maybe 2 ticks in the money and it's not running. But bonds are being really fickle at the moment. I do think that they could bust below this 15 and have a good push down. That's kind of what I'm waiting on here, but I think that we need to wait a little bit longer. It pauses here for a few minutes and then it comes down and it builds some volume at like 15 in ZV. Then we would be in a place where maybe I could sell it. Well, except for on this. Probably would need more time than that, in fact. The more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, well, that name does seem kind of familiar. I don't know. It is. Another thing is, it's very quiet today. I mean, it's been quieter this week in general, but I don't know. Like yesterday.
Chris Kahn says trading only order flow.
So I am trying to take a continuation trade. Is I'm practicing right now. So to do that continuation trade, part of it is looking at 5-minute volume profiles. But I'm very much looking at the order flow. And in particular, I'm searching for patterns in orders pulling. Right now, we've definitely seen orders pulling. It's kind of hard to tell. So here's the thing that I'm wondering about with this indicator. I'm not sure where to take it next, but this is overall orders stacking and pulling. So if it's an order, it doesn't matter how much it is. If it takes it off, then it goes negative, and if they put it on, then it goes positive, regardless of how much volume it is. notice that the majority of orders are cancels or pulling. Except for on this leg up, they added on this leg up, but then almost immediately pulled it, and then it comes back down. So that's cool. But how do I determine if the amount of pulling, since it tends to pull all the time anyways, how do I determine that the amount of pulling is unusual? I could change this indicator back into delta, but when it was in delta, it was hard to see that. So I'm wondering if we have to do it based off of an average or something like that, like here's make a trend line and what is the difference from the trend or something like that. I don't know. But when you look at that, oh, it sure looks like that the book is just toying with us at the moment. So I don't really see this as great action for bonds at the moment. It could turn into something. It could definitely turn into something, especially if the E-mini decides to really sell here, because they are. The E-mini really looks on the edge to me. Like if they fell previous day's high, they're at 33.2975. We could maybe have some selling. Oh, sure. Oh, that name, that's a little bit more familiar to me. Well, where have you been? You must be from way back. Donald Trump retweeting Mark Levin saying AOC is an embarrassing, barely literate moron. That's gonna trigger some people. Ooh, Lin Jingwei, there's very little trust in official numbers in China contributing to growing panic over the Wuhan coronavirus. Yes, my family is among those who have canceled holiday trips. Uptick. Well, if we do move up in treasuries, it seems like that the fundamental driver thesis there would have to be this virus, right? Shark says I've been on in and out trading. Took to short on crude in December and January. Oh wow! Well, so we have a guy that comes into the YouTube chat. It's kind of interesting. YouTube chat has been way more active lately. Um, it's really slow this morning, and it was pretty slow starting out yesterday as well. But then like really picked up later in the day. Um, and they've just been much more active. And we have a guy in Discord, Gary Rich, and he trades oil, and he took some of those trades and did pretty well on it. Okay, so back up to 17, eh? This time, no real stacking or pulling. There was some volume that fought them at 16. 16 half a normal amount of volume to trade up. So again, unsure where we're at. Building more volume at 16 than. Well, sorry, let me take that back. Yeah, two bars where the volume was at 17. So in ZB. So the lower prices might have been rejected there, but we've kind of seen some rejection in both directions. This might just be a good place to try and pull two out. If we were going to try and get two, where would we want to take it from? I think I would want 16.5. Chuck, yes. There's clearly some compression going on. Yeah, well, and I'm wondering, just because of this, well, we'd have to scroll a little bit back on this here. Right, going back to here with all of this volume, right? Like they battled it out. Somebody is buying it overall. Overall, somebody is buying it, but it's fighting really. It's fighting quite a bit. Dershowitz accuses CNN's Cooper and Tubin of being bullies. Oh, I've got to watch this. I think Dershowitz seems like he's really fed up with the politics.
The argument put forward by the president's attorneys, arguments that you've made as well, that impeachment requires a crime. I want to play something you said back in 1998 for our viewers.
It certainly doesn't have to be a crime. If you have somebody who completely corrupts the office of president and who abuses trust and who poses great danger to our liberty, you don't need a technical crime.
So you also recently said, without a crime, there can be no impeachment. Back then, you said that it certainly doesn't have to be a crime if you have somebody who completely corrupts the office of president, who abuses trust, and who poses great danger to our liberty. You don't need a technical crime.
Well, that's true. You don't need a technical crime. That's my position today. I've said right from the beginning, you need criminal-like behavior akin to bribery and treason. Remember that in the Clinton
that's not
case,
what you said then.
there was. That's what I said then. It's what I said now. You don't need a technical crime.
You didn't say criminal-like behavior. You said somebody corrupts the office of president and abuses trust and poses great danger to our
because the issue, that issue was not before anybody. Clinton, in the Clinton case, he was charged with a crime. Now the issue is whether or not you need criminal-type behavior. I've done a lot more research. Back then, I took the word of many academics who said that.
So
I've now done the research. No, I wasn't wrong. What I have a more sophisticated basis for my argument now, having read Justice Curtis's opinion and other opinions. It's very clear now that what you need is criminal-like behavior akin to bribery and treason. What is very clear is obstruction of justice, obstruction of Congress, or abuse of power aren't even close to what the framers had in mind. And I will show that during my speech by going through all of the debates in Congress.
Okay. Previously, you said it doesn't have to be a crime if the person in office
sounds to me like Cooper already thinks he knows what
poses a great danger to our liberty,
and he's trying to
impeachable.
Force an answer of some sort.
So you're not corrupting the office of the president. Is that in your criminal light or criminal like?
No,
behavior?
No, it's not, and that was rejected. That was rejected by the framers.
So you were wrong. You're saying you were wrong back then.
I was saying that I'm much more correct right now, having done all the research, because that's the issue. Let me explain. Please don't shut me off. You have two against one here. Let me make my point.
No, I'm not on anyone's side. I'm trying to understand rationally what you're saying.
I did not. Well, listen. Maybe you'll understand if you listen.
Have you noticed through this whole interview here with Dershowitz that he has not let him get through like a full sentence? Like, come fucking on, Cooper. Like, you can totally push him. Like, that's totally cool. But like, let him finish his point first. It's so rude.
Listen, I didn't do research back then. I relied on what professors said. Because, please let me finish. Because that issue was not presented in the Clinton impeachment. Everybody knew that he was charged with a crime. The issue is whether it was a hard crime. Now the issue is whether a crime or criminal-like behavior is required. I've done all the research.
Okay, so you didn't do the research
22 years
back then.
ago.
Got it.
I didn't do the research back then because that wasn't an issue. I've done the research now. I wasn't wrong. I am just far more correct now than I was then. I said you didn't need a technical crime back then.
Okay.
I
Well,
still
it
don't think you need a
looks
technical
like.
crime. And I think your viewers are entitled to hear my argument without two bullies jumping on everything I say
Ooh.
and trying to pinpoint and nitpick on what I said. Let's talk about what the issues are instead of trying to attack the messenger.
I don't think anybody's attacking the messenger. I think rationally, I'm not a lawyer, nor have I studied law, and I didn't go to Harvard.
That's obvious.
But what you're saying, the words you are speaking do not jibe with what you said in the past, and yet you're not saying what you said in the past is wrong. So
I didn't say
we're out of time.
I didn't say it was wrong. I'm saying what I'm saying now is right, and they're very similar when I talk about technical crimes. And you'll hear my argument laid out in far more detail, uninterrupted, when I speak on the Senate floor.
Interesting. That was an interesting interaction that I bet people are going to really pick up on. But probably, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the reaction to Dershowitz's argument through this whole thing. Okay, so I'm just noticing the E-mini for the moment appears to be rejecting the lower prices. Pretty good upswing, but they did not beat out the inside bar 32.50. They need to trade 75. Okay. Well, they're doing it in the micro, but not in the E-mini. Come on. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just seeing, because they're pushing up here, we're not really seeing the treasuries move, but if you were able to get 16.5, I think range-wise, this would probably be appropriate. Then I don't think that there's any way that will ever get filled. There's still kind of in the 30-year, they're building more volume up at 19. That might become the new point of control. They need about 100 contracts. I don't know if that's actually going to happen. The liquidity definitely changed there in the 10-year. They are now stacking at 16. But there's a decent stack at 15 as well. This is very tight. If you want to be filled, you would have to leave the order there. That's true. Oh, jeez. Mexican president says one potential case of coronavirus under investigation in northern Mexico. No reaction. That might be a buy. So we're talking the range. 15.5 is actually reasonable. I'm tempted to take an off-plan trade here. Let's try it. But nobody bids at 15.5? Okay.
Ace Trades says morning.
Hey Ace, how's it going? It's we'll see what he thinks about the E-mini. Where in the treasuries, we're having a hard time finding any kind of direction. I just took one here. This is intended to be a range-bound play. We'll see if this fills. Okay. Ooh, that was a pretty good stack there at 15.5. I'll watch the Asian session as a signal Hong Kong and Nikkei were both up after being sold off heavily during the previous session. Makes sense, although WS leads in my opinion, says hit big or miss big. Ray Dalio, most people do not look thoughtfully at the facts and draw their conclusions by objectively weighing the evidence. Instead, they make their decisions based on what is their deep-seated unconscious mind wants, and then they filter the evidence to make it consistent with those desires.
Ace Trade says looking for a short here somewhere.
You're looking for a short, okay. And then Zero Hedge retweeted that somebody saying, markets are not in a bubble, markets are not in a bubble, markets are not in a bubble. Yeah, they take an offer at 15.5 again. A pretty aggressive offer there as well. Ace is looking for the
Trade
short
says
at
going
32.
To try to get filled 3,332.00.
Okay. Well, that already doesn't look good. And you can see how we had that tick up and then the offers stacked.
Ace Trade says tight stop. It's kind of whippy.
Yeah. I mean, the E-mini hasn't moved yet, but what just happened there in the treasuries is not. Seems to contradict the idea that the E-mini is going to sell. But that was they came back up there, 32.50 again. The stack at 15, so it looks like they're going to squeeze me out. — 14.5 puffing up. Not able to clear that offer, though. There's a decent amount of market orders coming in here. Okay, well, they made 15 go bid again, but only 13. Only 13 stack. Okay, 25 flipped. They make 15 half go bid again. No. They sell at 23. They almost sold all of that. I think that some of them tried to pull but weren't able to pull fast enough. That one was kind of an oof. Okay. Goes bid again with little fanfare. Ooh, aggressive push again. Now 11.47. That's not crazy or anything. Okay. Pretty aggressive bid that time. I'm a little weirded out by how aggressively they seem to be attacking and stacking. When it seems like the probabilities are really uncertain and the risks are, well, maybe the risk isn't that great. Like maybe the truth is if they did fail lower here, that you're really only risking 2 ticks to the downside, and maybe that's why they're willing to do that. But it's just a little unusual is all, to see them be that forceful. Okay, so now we're below the 32 the ace was listing out. I don't know if he was able to hang on to that though, or if he didn't take it and now he's in it. Okay. Bit of a, ooh. So there was a bit of a stack there at 15, and then a ton of market orders came in and sold it. But they're holding it for now. So do you see that right there? They were stacking on it, and then a bunch of volume came in and hit it. Okay, that time a wave of orders bought into 15. So maybe the guys that sold into 15 there just puked into 15 half. The impulses look about equal. Some divergences now. I'm starting to see the offers pull a little bit though. This feels really intense. My heart is beating really hard for some reason. This shouldn't be like crazy, but like I can feel it beating. Like I can feel it right there in my chest. So my heart must be really hitting it hard. Need to relax. It's all okay. AMLO says 2 suspected coronaviruses reported in Mexico. The ZB is getting still putting orders in at 19. But the 5 and the 10 aren't getting back up there. See the divergence? My spread candles look all messed up. What's with that? I think there's some issues with my spread candles indicator. I need to relook at that. It looks like the knob spread is moving down. Hence ZB buying and the 10-year selling. Man, I tell you what, the E-mini is. How are you doing over there, Ace? Did you take that trade or are you still in it? Tulsi Gabbard sues Clinton for defamation over Russian asset comments. She should be mad. That it's funny because at the time it was kind of seemed like kind of a childish inter-party squabble, but Tulsi was pretty much finished after Clinton went after her, wasn't she? Kind of wonder how this thing with Hillary attacking Bernie is gonna to shake out because it feels to me. Mm, I've heard a lot of weird conspiracy theories and stuff about it, but it seems to me that Hillary Clinton just really does not want Bernie Sanders to be president. And she doesn't know what else to do other than to just start bad mouthing him in public. China. Well, so Rand Squawk is retweeting this thing. China officials under pressure to be forthcoming about Wuhan virus. Top Communist Party illegal body posted on social media. Any officials found covering up infections would be a sinner for the party. Would be a sinner for eternity before the party and the people. Post since deleted but still reposted online. And Rand Squawk says, how come they don't do this for the GDP data? Interesting. They're hitting into 15.5, but it looks like it's going to take like 4,000 to clear it if they do. There have been some people selling into 15. It's been stacked this whole time, though. Okay. It finally goes bid at 15.5 and they stack aggressively 3,000 on it. There's the 16's not pulling. I don't know if I had a limit order sitting at 16, I would be pulling. I'm quite surprised that it's holding there at 26, but perhaps people are just trying to play the range and they want fills there. The 41 law went there into 16. Whenever we're in a quiet area and I'm not necessarily seeing a lot of orders go through and I see something other than a one lot come through, I find that curious. Because that to me is like, that's somebody with some real money putting an order in not with the crowd. Okay, well now 12. So they did pull. A little. It's already stacking back up. This bid here has stayed pretty constant. Heart is still kind of pounding. Okay, another really strong stack. 37.37 that time at 16. But it's still like offers not immediately getting out of the way. Okay. What? 403? What? Oh, I'm surprised that didn't stay. Huh. Oh, that was weird. That was weird. It only took 403 orders to clear 16.5, but then they immediately took it off her again. That was weird. I gotta tell you, I mean, I'm happy that I got my 2. I feel like that was probably more of a risk than it was worth. The ZB is definitely trending up. I think that if you could potentially buy at 17 here like this, but it would need to be like you could buy into it, but I think that what would happen is they're going to come and they'll buy up into it, and 16.5 might go off again, so it might not be a great spot. But look at this stacking. That is stacking. And we still did not get that sell in the E-mini. Do you think maybe this is the coronavirus trade again? I don't know. I have not been in markets when I remember SARS, but I wasn't watching markets back then, so I don't know how serious the market takes these sorts of things. I don't feel like that 400 people in China with a cold is worth buying all the treasuries for. But that is definitely a situation that can escalate. Oh man. Oh man. How you guys doing over here in YouTube, huh? I'm guessing that Ace must have just, gave up on that trade and walked away to make breakfast because he didn't tell us what happened. Also, look at the little ticks here, and in my chart, the blues and the yellows or oranges.
Ace Trade says sorry. Yeah, got a point.
Oh, you got a point on it. Hey, good job. So this is that thing again where I wonder. When you come back, I want to know what made you take the point. Ace Trade says making
breakfast.
What is like the trigger to, okay, I need to just take the point instead of getting the 2 points, which is what you normally want, right? Now they've traded 4,000 into 16.5. That is crazy to me.
Ace Trade says because it was so choppy. Okay,
I gotcha. It is just so crazy to me though that we bought through 16.5, it only took 403 orders to get through 16.5 the first time. And then they sold it down with 1,000 and stacked. And now 4,000 have bought into 16.5. So that's really weird. They're like, okay, you see, they're being nice to me today. That's what's happening, guys. Mr. Market Maker, thank you very much for being so nice to me today. You saved my order back when they were hitting into 15 and I thought I was going to get stopped out. It actually went offer, but they never traded into my price. And then you came up, you pulled all of your orders so that I would get filled first. That was really kind. Thank you very much. Of course, there's probably no market maker, and I'm just talking to myself. But geez, that was a really odd. I've never had such a coincidental range bound trade before. That's really weird. That's really weird. This is extremely tight. I guess seeing 35 and 4,000 on the bids is nice. I mean, treasuries are getting thick again. I felt like for the longest time that they were just too thin. It really could be something to do with like that the algorithms haven't had to trade something this tight for such a long time that they're lost. Okay, so after all of that, it's pretty significant amount of selling in aggregate up here. So they may be trying to push it down again. E-mini at the higher end of its range. They still haven't busted the high. So we started this hour at 33, 32.75 or so. Oh, at 33, 32.50. So right where they're at. So if they're able to push up above this, then that means that this hour could end up being positive in the E-mini. Then you might see some buying up into the open. I think they have a good setup to buy into the open. We'll see what they do. So it seems like whenever we're up overnight, that the first thing they do when the E-mini opens is sell it. So You guys are just super quiet today. I would think that normally in situations like this we're kind of like we want to talk a lot because we don't really want to put money at risk in the markets, but this order flow seems to be really enthralling. Like I guess because it's just so unclear what's actually going on. Well, I guess we could talk about impeachment. We haven't done that yet. So I'm noticing something weird on impeachment. Maybe I can show you. Let's see what's on Reddit right now, shall we? Now that they've woken up a little bit. Normally, when I come in the morning, I'll read. I'll go through my main news sources and Reddit to kind of try and figure out what the playbook is for the different parties that day. Yesterday, okay, tick up by the way. Yesterday, it seemed like Democrats were really pushing hard on this. This trial is going to be a sham. Well, last night the Democrats kept trying to amend the rules and getting shot down. Let's see if they say, well, we need to do top now. What's rising in the hour? Every past impeachment has included witnesses. Majority of Americans say Trump abused power. And Bernie Sanders. See, I'm not really seeing any clear direction. I'm noticing, one thing I'm noticing, messaging wise, is there's this new poll from CNN, and it looks to me like the Democrats are a little, unsure about how to feel about it. Ooh, that 16 is now pumping up to 5,000. Because it basically shows it as a two race between Biden and Bernie. And at this point, I think all the Democrats are going like, oh crap, like this is exactly what we were worried about happening, and we just kind of let it happen. So there's that one might be like a little bit of a pause, and then a bit later people might start trying to do something about it. We'll see. But on impeachment, no clear direction right now. But the thing that we saw last night is you saw headline after headline of measure defeated. So I think that they tried 6, I think 4 to 6 amendments to the rules. So recall that they set the rules up were basically the same as the Clinton trial. And then at the last second, McConnell made a few changes that were considered to be kind of him giving in on things. I think that those might have been planned from the beginning as giveaways to his moderates to kind of so that they could go back to their constituents and say, look, we did this and we did this. That might have been planned from the beginning. In fact, McConnell might have told them to do it, But small changes that didn't really make any difference. Like the evidence presented by from the House is automatically entered into the record. Okay, cool. That was probably going to happen anyways. Easy concession to make yourself look reasonable. But after they set the rules, they're supposed to speak for 3 days, opening arguments. McConnell wanted it to be 2 days, but they spread it out to 3 days. Also reasonable. So they're supposed to present arguments for 3 days, and then there would be more votes. Particularly, they would begin to vote on who to call as witnesses and how many witnesses there's going to be and all of that sort of stuff. Well, Democrats didn't want to wait for that and started making measures to amend the rules. This seems like an incredibly short-sighted strategy by Chuck Schumer. So if you imagine you have these Republican senators that have tough fights, especially like Lisa Murkowski, for instance, and they kind of have to walk a very thin line if they want to be reelected, right? They cannot piss off the Donald Trump supporters, because if they lose the support of their own party, they're definitely not going to win. But they also have to say to all of the moderates and Democrats in their states that, hey, we tried to have a fair trial. Now they're hitting into 17. This could maybe go. I mean, there was enough volume fought that if people start getting stopped out above the opening range high at 17.5, that this could go. I still don't have a signal on my trade here. So, what does Chuck Schumer do? He goes in and he immediately starts putting all of these hard votes on them. And things that the GOP unanimously voted against because the rules were set and it was all fair. And these things like the witnesses, that's supposed to be handled later. And they insist on doing it now. And to do it now, it's like he'll make a proposal. They have to debate on it for 2 hours. They debate on it for 2 hours, then they vote, it gets tabled. And they do that like 4 times. Can you talk about a waste of time? Can you imagine being one of those senators and having to sit through all of that? Ugh. My mind is just turning into mush just thinking about it. Okay. So then Democrats are saying, oh, Republicans are showing that they're full on in this sham. Okay, so think about if you're Lisa Murkowski. You need to appear to be giving a fair trial. And now, no matter what you do, essentially, you're going to be painted as not giving a fair trial. For your election prospects, what do you do at that point, right? Well, if no matter what you do, they're going to make it look like you weren't fair in the trial, then you have no choice but to just appease the people in your party at that point. So Chuck Schumer is, I think, really doing himself a disservice in all of this. They should wait. They should make this process as undramatic as possible. Like anytime that there is drama or news about Democrat did X or Democrat did Y in the impeachment trial, I think it's a net negative for the Democrat Party. Now, if there's testimony X was explosive, then that's good for them, right? But anything that makes this look political is really bad for Democrats, I think. And it appears to me that these stunt he pulling yesterday just kind of pushed the moderate Republicans further into Trump's hands. We'll see how it turns out in the long run, but at the moment, I don't think that this is going very well for Democrats, and I think they're making some big mistakes. So, but then the key thing that I would take away from this in terms of markets is that you're seeing a lot of headlines that certain measure has been defeated, and they're doing that for a messaging perspective, but from a market perspective, if you're anticipating that maybe something happens in the trial affects markets, you're going to get duplicate headlines, right? Because they voted against witnesses last night, but then they're going to have to vote on it again after the opening arguments anyways. So don't be
Lucas
confused
says
when
2
that
minutes
happens.
to open.
2 minutes to open. How's it going, Lucas?
Lucas says got you covered, ace.
Look at that stack.
Lucas says all good, Seth.
Sound good? I find this action so something that you will see during really good solid trends is stacking behind you as we move up. Like we're seeing here. They've stacked around 4,000 at every price that we've moved up through from 15.5 to 17 now. That is indicative of a strong trend. But the context and everything doesn't make sense. We are still like within a tight range. Is this gonna like take off? I mean, that would be a hard call to make. I mean, it would be a strong trend out of nowhere. It could totally do it though because of the amount of fighting that we've had in here. There could be some fuel. I don't know. It was a lot of volume to buy up to here too. A lot of volume to buy up to here. Okay, so here's the open. I'm still not really getting something that I can take. in terms of a trend continuation. Oh, why is this in? That's wrong. Maybe I can. Oh, this bar, I might be able to trade it. Except for that, it's not on this 5-minute. It's at 22. Now it's. Look at the E-mini selling on the open. The Treasury actually ticked down there. Oops. I had that set to a stop limit order so it didn't hit. Otherwise, I think that would have filled me. Okay, so now it's triggering. For sure. Okay, E-mini was an initial sell, now the buyers are coming in. Okay. Tough fill, but they went through me and they went big again, so I think we're okay. Okay. So E-mini came up there, kind of tested a little bit higher, didn't do it. We're getting like a really odd doji
Ace Trade says it.
formation.
Lucas, thanks, bro.
Possibly, with a bias to the downside still in the E-mini, but battling it out and quite uncertain at the moment. Which is probably reflected in the 10-year not holding that 17.5 for the moment. We're still quite below where we were, though. You know, below that 33 at least. Okay. Still good. Okay, so this next bar is still forming its point of control at 23. It's close between 23 and 24, though. Definitely some spread in going on. They're making a very slow buy push here in the E-mini.
Ace Trade says looking for a long.
Okay. Well, there's 33. Immediately backed off of it. No stops there yet. Oh man. If they push them back below the open, then that could be like really disastrous for them in the E-mini. But let's see what they do. Okay. Back to 33.33. Still slow as she goes. Bigger Mystic says not very much volume in the bund at the moment. Okay, so a little wave of buyers coming into the 10-year again, making 17.5 go bid for the first time in a while. Almost 5 minutes there. Not holding though, huh? In fact, almost 4,000. I'd say that move up in the E-mini is slow, but it's not coming back. And yet they go bid. Well, my trade is saying here that the ZB should get to about 26, if not 159 even. The 30-year.
Lucas says risky by Seth, could work out. Ace Trade says hope it keeps headed up. I'm fine with slow, elevator down, stairs up.
This one, it was, when I took it, it was okay, and now since I've taken it, it's become a little bit more vague. So this is kind of the situation that I'm looking for to see anyways. So let's just kind of wait and see how it turns out. But I have some good indications that we got some trend coming in here. So I'd say it's thick, of course, but it looks like that there is enough volume to push it eventually.
Lucas says you have the edge.
Yeah. Yeah, and 4,000 stacked on me too is really nice, right? Alligator says feels okay and thinks that they could break to the upside soon. We are kind of a little bit on the edge of our profile here, but I don't think that all these orders up to 20 are just going to pull out of the way, you know? Not unless the E-mini like really falls apart here. Okay, so there was a pull. Oh no, it was a stack on the ask at 18. Slight change in the liquidity there. You can kind of see it. They pulled and they stacked it again. Now they pulled it again.
Lucas says I'm up a point in ZN but not sure where to risk those profits.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the edge that I'm looking at says 3 is only supposed to be good for 3 ticks.
Twemdog says ZN's G options expire this week. Lots of size 129 to 160, so price is probably going to get squashed towards 160.
129.60. Well, that was where all the volume earlier was, so that could maybe explain why they've become so thick. Well, the thing is that we were down there, they pushed 15, and then after that, that was when the book started to get so thick. Right? Every step up here, we've been stacking 4,000. Now the offer has responded since then, but it didn't start out like that. It's only really been since like the last 10 minutes since the E-mini's been out that this has really started to look thick on the upside. It took a lot of volume for them to make that 17.5 go bid, and then they take it again. And there was 4,000 stacked there, but they only took 2,000 to make it go offer. I think here in ZB it did touch 26, but there was also like 3 bars there where it was at 23. So I don't know if that, like, it once you get in, if you see that indicates the signal, that might be the way that I want to play it. Okay, well, haven't seen one of those for a while where it it ticks up and then immediately ticks back down and you get a bunch of clicks. When I look at it in the ZB, though, the trend still looks good. Pretty good uptick still, too. Good morning, John. So they're gonna, where do we get above us past that? So there's this here. There's 36. There's 36 or so in the E-mini. they could try retracing past 36. Then it starts to look. Then you're back in like all-time high territory, right? But given that this has been really slow, they're not stopping people out. I kind of question if they can really hold this, especially if they fall back to like 32. See, the treasuries certainly don't seem to believe it.
Bots says nice bounce off the center of my bull bear zone in ZB this morning. BB zone was 158, 10 to 158, 14 hit 12 and stopped dead.
Yeah. It was really interesting order flow down there, John. So I took one from 15 to 16 half just as a range because I saw that was the range. And then ever since that happened, they've been stacking on the bid 4,000, and it's gotten really thick after that happened. And now here at 17 half, they're kind of it's kind of starting to look a little fuzzy. Like they're having a really hard time breaking it through. It looks like that they may finally get 18 to go bid. But the E-mini just keeps pushing. If the E-mini comes back down to 32, then maybe the treasuries can break up. I think that both of these going up though is kind of holding the treasuries back for the moment. This in the E-mini has been kind of slow. But I mean, there's still, 33, 36.25 is the overnight high. We're above the previous 2 hours in the E-mini. So, I mean, the buyers definitely seem to be winning in the E-mini. It's just really slow, can they really keep that up? Maybe they just need to get above 36.25 and then the stops will come in. Look at that. Pretty decent amount of volume coming through there. Okay. They tried to clear 18 and couldn't hold it. The ZB is still building volume higher. So the trade is definitely better in ZB today. Like the spread is so favorable to ZB right now. Hmm. Did we have news at the top of the hour? We did. Oh, Bank of Canada rate statement.
Bot says looking at my weekend homework from Friday, I was thinking we could see 3,365.50 by month end if they can keep this move going to the UPD side.
65. UPD side. It's really funny sometimes how it chooses to read things out.
Lucas says, will you bet Throot News?
I don't know, man. This is a tough call. I mean, the Bank of Canada's statement is usually not incredibly influential, but the market's definitely I think that you probably will see a little bit of pulling ahead of it. You kind of have to wonder, though, if the reason it's so thick is because of that now. I think that I have enough baked in here.
Lucas says U.S. news.
I don't think that there is any U.S. news. Oh, existing home sales. At the moment, it looks like that by the time we get to the news that I will have enough baked in that I can risk it. But we'll see.
Bots says basically a measured move of December's range marked from the January low at 3,181.00.
Yeah, that makes sense. It just seems like that the E-mini is so look. They when they push up, it's really slow, and then they can't seem to hold this side of the range. So here they're failing this part of the volume profile, but 32 is still kind of a key spot. 33 to 32. So if they clear that, then you're talking about this part of the profile, and then you're back to the open. And there's my 2 ticks. I'm trying to trail my stop very close because I was watching a webinar yesterday and I saw that John Grady was trailing his stop very closely, and I thought, that's not a bad idea, especially with the liquidity stacking up like this. I think that we can get away with doing that. Well, if I had taken this trade in the ZB at 23, then I would have gotten the 3. Okay. Well, now, man, now when you look at the volume, that is a lot of long volume. You got to wonder how many stops there could actually be here if the treasuries decide to move higher. I'll do that. I mean, that 119, it didn't take a lot. $188. A little 500 lot went in there, 19.5. 500, it's a little in the 10-year. Another stack. It's very interesting to me. When I look at this chart over here, you can see how it kind of is much more sideways on the bid. Like the bid has been stacking so aggressively. Even though it's thick in the offer, they're still pulling out of the way at key points. Okay. Well, there's been some volume up at 20 the whole time. But look at this stuff, going up higher, all the way up to 24, really. Notice that the bid never really gives in at all. Okay. They tried to clear 19.5. There's some profit taking there for sure. Probably a 10K iceberg here at 19.5. The E-mini trying to recover this 33, 34 to 35 range. Yeah, treasuries move higher. China confirms 17 dead in 444 cases. Wow, wait a second. That's like a... Is that really bad? 17 divided by 444. Almost a 4% fatality rate. A list of human disease case fatality rates. So what's around 4%? Smallpox? Measles? Huh. So based on the data that we have right now, this virus is more that is basically more deadly than smallpox. Huh. I try not to think about it, but like I just remember the SARS scare, and I remember that being like a, from my perspective, of course, I was much younger, but I remember that being like a big, media circus for nothing, because it never came over here. But now that this is happening and I'm older, I can see the psychology behind it, because I'm sitting here thinking, well, I have a baby. What if that came over to the United States, and that could be, real trouble? What would I do? Stay inside? Not go outside? Because I'm afraid to catch it? They gonna clear 19.5? A little pulling at 19.
Bot says it never came over there. We had SARS cases here in Canada for months.
Well, I think it came over here, but I don't think that that it became widespread. I think that there was a few isolated cases from people that had been traveling in China, but that it never spread. Okay, well, E-mini, they fell down a little bit. They're coming back up. They're threatening the high, but the cumulative delta is actually moving down in this area.
Bot says one of the hotels in downtown Toronto was one of the first places they identified as a hot spot.
As a hot spot? Okay. Well, they had like, so the thing that I'm seeing this morning, there was, of course, yesterday we had reported that there was a case in, oh man. Okay, +1. It's okay. I don't like the way that one happened. I think that I should have had my I think I should have had my stop limit with a little bit not quite as vulnerable. I'm really concerned that they're going to come back up to, I mean, I could have gotten 2 on that, maybe even 3 now that it's at 19. So that sucks. The way that it came down though was a little, I don't know. This is going to be hard to get past 19.5. Anyways, so we had there was like a case of somebody that traveled up in Portland, but now we're getting that there's like 4 or 5 confirmed cases in Mexico. So I'm concerned that oh man, can you imagine if there's an outbreak in Mexico? That would be a real messy situation politically, I think. They just close. I mean, at that point, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump just completely closed the border, you know? Oh man. The sociology of that would be so interesting. Who was this? Oh. Somebody was asking me, can we give our entry signal to the community just to help each other? Absolutely, you can. Okay, so there was the news release too, by the way. So, Bank of Canada overnight rate unchanged. Existing home sales 5.54 million versus an expected 5.43 million. And I guess if I could get back in there, that would be okay. No, actually, no. So, if you're still there, John, today in our little Wyatt trade was very interesting. I think it's better to start on the 15-minute. So here I would say, I mean, price was above it here, but it was an overall red bar. So when it's been a red bar, I haven't been counting it. But you might have been able to say all the way up until 18, you could have gotten in, right? Well, not 18, 19. Could have said you get in at 19, but I didn't count that one. So I said, here's 1, 2. So I got in at 23. But I took it in the 10-year.
Winstanza Mom says today, I missed tuning in, I watched the trials and slept in. How goes your day?
It's gone okay so far. I had a really good trade that I could have gotten 4 on, but it came back on me, and I trailed my stop very closely, so I still took profit on it, but I'm a little disappointed. So I was just walking through it. So that was the entry right there. Blue, blue. This is increasing. We're above this, and the volume profile is moving up. Okay, cool. And it still moved up. So you could have taken it to 26, and really, I really think that I can let them run, but we'll see. So that's on the 15-minute. Here on the 5-minute, you can see, though, is where it gets kind of weird, is like, okay, so we said not until 23. So here is at 23. But when it got to 23, it stayed there for 3 bars. So if it stays there for
Ace
3
Trade
bars...
says at Winstanza Mom I'm in and out, but wanted to say hi.
Oh.
Winstanza Mom says, well, everyone, you know my request once I arrive. Please take a second to hit like. We are at 24 watching now.
Oh, thank you very much. Hit that like button. Anyways, so it sat there at 23 for 3 bars. So does that negate the signal? Or do you hold it through that one? That's going to be a question that we're going to have to ask. That's probably the big question. Right now, though, this one, it worked. And it looks like they are, in fact, going to hit that 19.5 and clear it. So if we had our limit stop a little bit less sensitive, we probably could still be in this. Or we could have bought in again at 19 or something. I was kind of sitting there thinking maybe you should have just bought at 18.5, but then I said, oh yeah, but it would have been this. And yeah, see there it cleared. Look, now the E-mini is turning down. Do you get a short? Aces said he was in and out. I really want to short it. It's probably too late. I feel really good about a short that possibly take out the 33.28. But price I'm really uncertain on, so I'm just gonna hands off. The treasuries aren't just going through 19.5. In fact, they're hitting into 19 again. They're actually moving through this area between 18 and 20 fairly easily compared to what they were doing before. And the liquidity overall has decreased a little bit. So I wonder if maybe it was the Bank of Canada decision was maybe part of the reason for all of the liquidity to be stacking up.
Winstanzamom says we are coming up on several full moons and speculators' sun is due soon. We should begin a bragging rights and guess when the baby will be born. A baby pool for bragging rights, is it called that?
So here's the deal with that. No, ignore air cages. Now, so here's the deal with that. The baby is she's 37 weeks now, and the baby is sitting comfortably in the breech position. So they looked at it last week, and he was in the breech. Before he was head down, but now all of a sudden he's in the breech. I don't know why. I will kind of look at when I feel around it, on her belly and everything. I'm like, how does the baby move in there? Like he seems pretty well wedged in. It would be hard for him to turn around. She has big babies, so I think that if it came down to breech, that she would probably need to get a C-section. They want to do a procedure where they flip him around. I don't know how I feel about it. So this is something that really bothers me about the medical profession in general, but with this situation in particular, is they're like, so do you want to do this procedure? Or we can wait and do it just before he's born, or we can just, wait and see what happens. And if it's bad, then you just get a C-section. And I'm sitting here like, I'm not a doctor. Why are you asking me? I'm not qualified to make that decision. Even with all of the data that you give me, I'm not qualified to make that decision. And I'm not ever going to be in an emotional state where I could really effectively make that decision either. And they want me there, and they were like, we have to know they have to know today if they're going to use the spot or give it to somebody else.
Winstanzamom says air cages, you are so helpful. Speculator Seth, I was 3 weeks late. The IG team came to the command post, asked when I was due, and said send her home. They induced labor, I had a C-section, easy peas. Winstanzamom says she should look into the anesthetic. The poetry of childbirth eludes me. I wanted to be knocked out.
Well, so that's another thing is that I guess she had a bad experience with the I forget what you call it. The thing that they put into you to numb you to make childbirth not painful. 3 weeks late just means you were bad at math and remember. No. So I think that my wife was induced every time too, which is curious. But the thing is her babies have been big. They've all been 8 pounds. This one looks to be pretty big too. So if the baby is still in the breech at that point, I think it's pretty likely that she would have to have a C-section. She hasn't had to have a C-section. She seems really nervous about it. Something about being pregnant seems to, she's a lot more nervous about things. It feels to me like her low openness traits are being exaggerated on pregnancy. Man, you can forget about streaming with a newborn in the house. No, man. I'm gonna stream with the baby. That's my plan. And if the baby's crying, we'll just mute the microphone. Maybe I should turn this.
Winstanza mom says you get what you pay for in the military. I did not have drugs, but I had 24 hours of labor first. Eric was over 8 pounds and so was my daughter. We forget the pain, but she has had 3 children.
Jeez.
Winstanza mom says no, Ace trades this time we were sure. I had just returned from Korea, blush.
The thing that I find so weird about this too is that she has had 3 kids, and yet she seems really nervous about giving birth and how much it's going to hurt and everything. I'm like, yeah, but you'd done it before. But whatever.
Winstanza mom says it hurts.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I just don't know what to do. Like, I think she's gonna go in and do the procedure, but like I'm not giving her like a strong opinion. Like I think he should or shouldn't do it. It sounds to me like it's like 30% of the time it doesn't work, and maybe 1 to 5% of the time they have a complication doing this thing and they have to do an emergency C-section there, or it just kind of stresses the baby out in general. I feel like I am a little overly sensitive to that because
Eric Cages says I'm already shopping around for new streamers just in case Seth can't handle the new baby. Does anyone have any suggestions?
Eric Cages is such a troll, man. Man, I'm not. Listen, I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna trade order flow and we're gonna record it. And there's like that hour between 6:30 and 7:30 that my wife likes to sleep in. That if the baby decides that he likes to be awake during that time, I think that she should just bring him to me.
Winstanza mom says we took Lamaze classes, but they left the TV on during the class. Jeopardy was on and I did not pay attention to my breathing. So, I had no idea what to do. Now, when I hear the Jeopardy theme.
You have flashbacks about going into labor? Oh, man. Oh. Wait, so did you really stay up late watching impeachment stuff? Because my understanding was that last night they were basically up all night. Says
you can get one of those little swinging rockers and let him rock while he watches you.
Oh yeah, we have one of those too.
Winstanza mom says yes.
Because weren't they were just doing these, like, Schumer wanted to change the rules.
Ace Trade says at Air Cages, I suggest you tough it out with the rest of us. Lol.
It's going to be great, guys. You are going to enjoy seeing the baby. We'll put the camera out onto the wide angle so that you can see the baby really well. And when the baby is making cute noises, we'll be able to hear the cute baby noises. It's going to be great. And we can see the baby's first reactions to market moving events. It's going to be fun, guys.
Winstanza mom says my husband worked from home when my son was first born and he watched him. He was as much a primary caregiver as I was. I was gone more.
I actually think that after the first week, I'm probably going to go back to work, and I'm going to use the time off that they give me at work when my wife has to start going to work, so that for the first 6 months or whatever it is, one of us will always be home. And then after that, I just have to work from home. But at that point, the baby will be like 9 months. So, I don't know if that's better or worse.
Luis Alarid says, Seth, will you be south or north of wife during the birth? Ace Trade says newborn indicator
wife?
available from Seth for $455 per month.
Oh my gosh. What we should do is we should try and make sure that baby's first words are buy and
Luis
sell.
Alarid says, I suggest north.
And then yeah, we can sell an indicator based on
Ace
whether
Trade
the baby
says
is saying
Luis
buy or sell.
Alarid can confirm.
Savant baby trader. Totally worth it. You know what? Maybe not a $500 subscription, but I bet that people would subscribe to that for $20 a month for fun. I really think we need to get the bunny into this. I think that the bunny could give us some interesting advice on the path of interest rates
Ace
in the
Trade
future.
says, I wish someone had told me they came out upside down. That was a rough minute.
Oh man, so your baby came out upside down? Your baby came out breech, but it wasn't a C-section? 19.5, still a lot of volume. I'm wondering.
Ace Trade says face down.
Oh.
Winstan's mom says oof.
I just want to know, remember yesterday we had a price like this 19.5 that was really stubborn?
Ace Trade says, I thought I was looking for a face, and it was the back of the head.
And yeah, anyways, and eventually they broke through it, and then there was quite a bit of upside after that because too many people tried shorting it, and it feels like they're doing the same thing today. Well, let's see how it turns out. I don't really have an edge here. The ZB indicator, even though it's above the moving averages, the volume profile is a little fuzzy between 20 and 29. That one, it was 30, so they possibly could go higher, but I don't think it can take a trade there, and it's really close to 830, so it's probably best not to. I can imagine you thinking you're looking for a face and then it's the back of the head. That's it's like the whole thing is making, man, you know what I think it is I think that this week it's the prednisone.
Winstan's mom says, the first time I saw my son, I said, oh, he is so ugly, and the nurse was appalled. I thought it was funny. When I saw I had a daughter, I said, good. We have both and now that's enough. Lol.
That's funny. Well, they don't look too great when they come out at first, and they're all covered in blood and stuff, right? Man.
Air Cages says YouTube and Kappa are going to flag you for child-friendly content.
No. Just because there's a baby and it doesn't mean that it's child-friendly content. I don't think that they'll... You know, it's been really funny watching all the YouTube creators try to make it seem like that their content, like the funniest one is Film Theory. Like, come on. Kids watched that. No doubt about it. A very large percentage of his audience was kids. And now they're doing everything they can to make sure that everybody knows that it's not a kid's show. Like, they're avoiding talking about any movies that have kids characters in them, and they're including tons of more adult jokes than normal and everything. It's funny. Anyways, I'm on this prednisone stuff, and it's supposed to give you like mood swings, and I have been feeling like when I was at work and I heard something that I didn't like it really made me mad.
Winstan's mom says we need more ferret-friendly content. There is enough cats and children on YouTube.
Really made me mad. And so I'm wondering if some of my fears about the whole baby thing is because of that, you know? But I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, oh no, we're going to have a C-section, and maybe the baby gets stressed, and that would be bad. And then he might get the coronavirus. I'm just like, that's all these scary things. And that seems irrational to me. Is it irrational to be concerned about that you're going to have a baby that might be born during a coronavirus epidemic? You know? I don't know. 4% fatality rate. That's smallpox activity. That's what we're looking at. That's comparable to smallpox.
Air Cages says totally irrational.
Air Cages says totally. I don't. You know what, Air Cages? You're so trolly. You're losing the. You're losing credibility here, buddy. I don't know if I can believe if I trust that opinion. Probably the prednisone will affect your moods.
Winstanza Mom says probably, the pred will affect your moods. I know people who say it does. I don't have moods, but I had them during pregnancy, and mood are hormonal. No, you are correct to think about this.
Okay, they took 19.5 bid there finally. Now there's tons. There's almost 5,000 at 20. I wonder
Air
if that'd be a
Cages says
collision.
I'm a straight shooter, bro.
I think that we haven't seen a big collision in a long time.
Luis Alarid says don't bring negativity into our nativity moment.
Air
Cages says you're worrying about a lot of things you can't control.
Yeah, that's
Winstanza Mom says I have a friend in Singapore. She is not reporting people getting sick, but they are wearing masks and taking precautions. It's in Washington State now. We will wait to see if we want to travel next week.
But this is the thing. So Washington State was like one case, so that's not necessarily like. But this is the funny, like with SARS. Okay, guys, when you wear the mask, it doesn't protect you from the virus. The mask prevents you from transmitting it to other people, but it doesn't prevent you from getting it. It's not very effective at that, at least. Okay, there's been some polling at 20. They could still move up. I'm looking at this. I think they could surprise. I would say at this time of year, they have a tendency to break. They tend to trend and just go through. But I don't know. I mean, I don't even necessarily see what the case is to be buying bonds right now, to be honest. And I'm also my trend indicator.
Mom says, okay, watch the movie Contagion with Matt Damon. Just because it is a good lesson in preparation. I know I plan because that's my military training. Keep some gas in the car and cash in your home.
Cash in your home. Okay, bot says 4 more ticks
for ZB to get its full point for the session.
It really, I think there's a pretty good chance that there's another leg in this move. But based on the things that I'm seeing that I can really use on a short-term basis, it's incredibly uncertain here. Okay, you're just looking at this trend thing. Okay, so there's this distribution here. We have 2 bars up, but we're not seeing the CCI move with it. The 15-minute chart here, the same thing. So I don't think that you can just take that one long, per se. So there's that. Cumulative delta, you can see. Well, we'll bring this chart over. Cumulative delta has been sideways down. The bid, which was stacking very aggressively before on this move, has now started to become flaky and a little bit less reliable. Oops. I'm seeing a lot of level 2 changes without the volume coming through, so they're having a hard time coaxing the guys into doing it. I don't know how you read into that, but that's just
Luis
what we're seeing there.
says soon Trump will mandate a shot for all citizens. The shot will track everyone.
One thing I will point out, though, is that we never had a volume crescendo. So, okay, so there's a level break set up right there at 19.5.
says the president is on a plane returning from Davos. He has hours upon hours to tweet and he is in a mood. I would watch the tweets to understand this market. Air Cages says who's short the E-mini? Bot says there's an old price pivot high above market at 159.05, which is their full point target for the day, full session.
Okay. Well, they just put the smackdown again on it at 20. There's a level break set up there, but he's smacking it at the same time. So it seems like a what would we say? Well, now at 19, that ruins the setup. I was gonna say that's a setup. I wouldn't say it's a probable setup because it hasn't been like just all out trend today, but it is a setup, and they fought it almost immediately.
Bot says pivot was formed on January 7th.
So it's still like incredibly uncertain for me.
Air Cages says E-mini good short opportunity.
Back up at 33.35.
Winstanzamom says Luis Alarid, or give everyone a smartphone. No one wanders around without their phones and so need to inject tracking devices. Lol. Stephen King sell as an excellent little novel about this. Bot says failing there at 01 at the moment.
Yeah, so I'm noticing in the E-mini that they came back to the open and they bounced literally right off of the open after that down move. So at the moment, the E-mini seems to be rejecting a sell on the day. Another thing that concerns me in the treasuries is that overall the liquidity has decreased. We were stacking 4,000 through here. Remember all the way from 15.5 to 17 and even 18 that they were stacking 4,000 on it. And then after the Bank of Canada rate statement, the liquidity has gone away and we've just gone sideways since. So it could break out, but I suspect that the large institutions that really got us up to this point are probably not in here anymore.
Live Action says convert and confirm re-entry off where the move originates makes for defined risk. Winstanzamom says I have to head out now. Thanks, gentlemen, thank you.
By.
Speculator Seth, see you tomorrow, and everyone take a quick second to hit like. Winstanzamom says 27 watching now.
Well, I should make my charts and do that.
Air Cages says bye, mom. Winstanzamom says woohoo.
We could maybe buy ZB. I don't know. Seems a better trade than ZB.
Luis Alarid says cell phone use a new epidemic of the century.
The true virus. Well, where is Bitcoin today, by the way? Huh? Uh-oh. What's this? Not going to calculate my full chart for me? Looks like they've made a change to the spec. All right.
Live Action says this happens off the previous day high or low 20% of the time when you will have a trending day. Move must be through previous HL to be a good trend day.
Oh wait, now is it giving me something now? Oh, that was the 21st. Okay, well, we'll just do yesterday's for Bitcoin.
Live action says I determined this 20% by using the shorthand method. See how many times in a week this happens if on average 1 time out of 5 equals 20%.
What are we saying here, live action? I'll look at this again. Hold on, let me post this and then I'll read it over again. Today is Wednesday. Publish now.
Lucas says at live action that seems a good setup.
Okay. Confirm re-entry off of where the move originates makes for defined risk. This happens off the previous day, high or low, 20% of the time. When you will have a trending day, the move must be through previous high-low to be a good trend day. I determined this 20% by using the shorthand method to see how many times in a week this happens if on average 1 time out of 5 equals 20%. So you're saying if we... Let's see if I'm getting this right. If we have a day that looks like this, and here's the high and
Lucas
the low.
says at live action, could you remind me, did you trade ZN? If so, do you trade it off the DOM exclusively or charts?
And then we open up above that and we breach the high, but then come back up like that, that this is likely to become a trend day. Is that what you're saying? Oops, sorry. And that it happens, this particular case is 20% of the time. Is that what it means? Did I read all that right? Still not holding 19.5 in the treasuries, by the way. There was a decent amount of distribution up in here. So I really can't say if there's another trade. You know what, though? When I look at my trading, taking 2, 3, this one really should have been 4. So we could have been +6 on the day. Unfortunate. But I didn't take any trades that I shouldn't have. I guess this one was a little bit off plan per se, but I wasn't getting caught by, like, there was so much fighting at the beginning of the session and turniness, and I immediately recognized that as action that was not good for my strategies, and so I stayed out. And that is the biggest win today for me, I think. So I'm pretty happy. So you can hit that like button. We did a good job. I think so. I don't know if that's worthy of all-time high in likes like we got yesterday. But I think it's
Live Action says Darby's methods was based on this balance break to new high market profile based off Darby's and volume profile as the progression off market profile.
Okay. I need to read that book again. I don't think I finished that one. I remember him talking about boxes. Like he would say that most of the time the market is just going sideways and you draw a box around it. And then you can you'll get probabilities based off of what's at their all-time highs and everything like that. And he was looking for the ones that were at their all-time highs and were thus likely to break into a new box. And I think that's what Live Action is kind of getting at, is that because of the rejection of lower prices so far.
Luis says it truly is amazing that the overall market has risen so much, and this is hardly reported in the media.
Oh, yeah. But you know what? I'm a little concerned about the most recent run that we've had, like over the past week or so. Because we're getting earnings and they're coming in and they're okay. But the earnings are still not justifying the high price that we have. And I'm concerned that what's really happening is all of the mutual funds that were risk off.
Lucas says of those boxes you mentioned out of that book, How I Made $1 Million in the Stock Market, or something like that. The guy used boxes like you mentioned. He was a dancer.
Yes, that's Nicholas Darvis. Yes. From the book, How I Made $1 Million. I forget what it is. Yeah, that's exactly it. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So I think that the hedge funds are maybe performance chasing and might push it up too high. So you don't want to go short, but if something happened, like this coronavirus epidemic really did start to
Bot says when you read about it in the media, you know it's late enough in the move to liquidate your positions.
Well, yeah. If the coronavirus really ends up being a breakout and spreads throughout China, that could be a real drag on global growth.
Lucas says the book was a good read.
And, that could be the sort of a thing that could cause the market to sell off. And what I'm saying is that if we do enter into a sell-off, it might be a little bit more dramatic than it otherwise would have been because we're valued so high. But I wouldn't be going outright short, not yet. Every time that there's kind of like a potential short setup, you notice that they kind of steal it away somehow. Like today, there was an okay short setup, but then they bought on the open, right? The sellers never came in. There's just not enough conviction. It's not going to happen. So, yeah. But there's this thing on the split side is this volume profile, man. It's really, I want to look at the ZN one.
Luis Alarid says true, if reported like Bitcoin was, the market will drop hard.
Like, we're right where we were from the Iran stuff. What has happened from here to here that justifies treasuries moving up so much? Coronavirus? Okay, that's maybe been from here. What about this? That doesn't, and then the E-mini just going higher the whole time doesn't quite match up to me. It doesn't sit right with me. So I think that something's going to give at some point. Is it going to be that the treasuries just sell back down, though? Something's not right, though. So I'm hesitant to stick my neck out and be going outright short, for instance. Just note that it's kind of fishy.
Lucas says you think today? Bot says Iran? Do you say Italian too?
What do you think? Is it supposed to be Iran?
Luis Alarid says crude is selling.
Crude is selling. Where's my... yeah. I think that one... Do I don't need to roll over yet, do I? Yeah, I do. Let's move over to March.
M says I heard all in short S.
Okay. Now I see it's down.
Lucas says honesty doesn't sell Seth. You need to call levels and make predictions for the Chanel to grow.
Key level broken.
Bot says do you pronounce it as IT?
Yeah, it's IT. Um, 5609. And we're at 5707. So they've broken out of this lowest range, and there's still quite a bit of downside till you get to the latest support area in oil. But there might be a good case to say that since December it's been too high. I don't know about that one. I'm not quite sure what to make of that, if that fits in with everything else or not. What's going on in oil is probably more likely to just be due to the supply and demand in oil and not due to the overall outlook in the economy.
Bot says the word it, not the acronym IT.
Oh, the word it. Well, no, hold on. Yeah, this is it doesn't matter how you say certain words. This is English. It can be spelt it can be spelled all sorts of weird ways, and there are no rules in English. It's on a word by word basis. It's not a phonetic language. So just because it and
Live Action says at Lucas
Italian,
there's a method called the dummy method because a child can be taught to be profitable. It defines a level I'll see.
Are spelt with it doesn't mean that it can't be done Iran. Let's see how do the Iranians pronounce it.
Bot says seriously? Lol.
English is not phonetic. Okay, so Iran is correctly pronounced Iran.
Bot says Iran is 2 words.
So it's not even like Iran. It's Iran. Iran. Like an E. That's interesting.
Lucas says something to do with the turtle trading?
Hey, if this dummy method has a positive expectancy, I'd like to see it. I can teach it to children.
Block by.
Ooh. Their bot. 3176 there at 18.5. And there was a poll, too. Somebody pulled out of the way. I wonder if they can make another run for it. What was it? 18.5? 18.5. But it stacks there again. And look at the 5,019. That moved down. It did not. It only just now showed up.
Luis Alarid says Iraq, Iran funny.
How do you... Is it different? Nope. So apparently the I in Arabic is really more like an E. Iraq, Iran. So there you go. Iran is 2 words. Iran.
Bot says sorry for the digression. I used to work with a few Italian guys that got really upset if you called them Italian.
Well, yeah, it's not pronounced Italian. That's for sure. This goes back to listen. English is a weird language when it comes to pronunciation of things because so many of our words are amalgamated from other languages, and we stole the spelling from there, and then there was the spelling reform in the United States. It is incredibly non-phonetic, and most other languages actually are fairly close. But the thing that's interesting, if we're gonna go off plan here, we might as well go because I've looked at this subject a lot, and there have been many efforts to try and standardize English or phoneticize things, and it is incredibly difficult to do because we have stolen things from other languages. The truth is that we use so many of the different sounds, and so to really have something that's like truly phonetic, you would just have to have too many letters. So some of them do things like they'll simplify it a little bit. So, for instance, in Mormon culture, they had came up with a Deseret alphabet, and this guy, he gave 38 letters. But even with the 38 letters, there was not enough. And there were some people claiming that certain words were supposed to be pronounced a certain way, but it was just because the Deseret, that they said that's how it was pronounced in the Deseret alphabet. But the truth is that the Deseret alphabet, like the word Deseret, we do it Deseret. But if you look at the straight reading in the Deseret alphabet, it looks like it should be pronounced Deseret. Well, the reason is because in the English language, we're lazy. We pronounce words like the vowels like E and A. We pronounce them with a schwa, which is really like almost dropping the vowel. So schwa is like butter, but desa, right? It's an even though it's supposed to be an E. And people just knew that even though it was an E, they knew that it kind of was schwud. So you could put maybe a line above that to say that it was a schwa, but that is one of the most difficult things in the English language for other cultures to get. You'll notice many speakers have a hard time saying the word butter. They always have to exaggerate it, like butter, because it's being lazy, right? So this is an interesting subject in the English language. Bum 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 ba dum ba dum bum bum. Okay, so what is M saying here?
M says UAL conference call. CEO says biggest worry is the virus. They are working with CC closely.
What is the UAL?
Live action says yes and no turtle method used a tool moving average cross on daily chart a lot of people look at but not everyone.
United Airlines?
Live action says as a day trader you're going to have many boring sessions waiting for the turtle method.
Okay. Well, I think just watching this session today, I think that buyers won out, and I suspect that the main driver behind that trade is probably the coronavirus trade. But as I've said before, the media likes to exaggerate stories like this. So 6 people dead, 400 having gotten sick in Wuhan, or what is the place called? I can't even remember what it's called now. Anyways, death toll rises to 17. Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean that we have a global epidemic on our hands, and there's been many times. Okay, the last 2 times, just think about this. The last 2 times that we have had a quote-unquote global epidemic, it fizzled out, right? There was the Ebola, and then there was SARS. So both of these things are something that if you caught it, you're probably not going to die, okay? The people that are at risk are like old people and children, but a 4% fatality rate is pretty bad, okay? No question about it. If there was an epidemic, it would be a drag on global growth, yes. So there's reason to be concerned about it. But is it reason enough to bid the treasuries up this high? I question that significantly. And the probability is that this story fizzles out after a few weeks, and then the treasuries are going to have to give it up, right? So we should monitor this situation. But that's kind of where I see it right now. A couple of new messages in here, but my thing is no longer reading them out. No turtle method used a tool called moving average cross on a daily chart, and a lot of people look at, but not everyone. As a day trader, you can have many boring sessions waiting for the turtle method. Yeah, okay. Do you trade off the DOM exclusively live action? He says no. And M is talking about was saying yes, that must have been United Airlines and the CDC. Yes, because even if there's for airlines, it's definitely a concern, because even if it doesn't turn into an epidemic, travel, Wuhan, yes, you're right. Travel will be restricted, no question. And if it picks up, then we're going to see some very interesting things. Because here's the thing. In our society today, it is, I'm going to get really deep here, but I think that this could matter. So bear with me for a second, and then I got to get going, okay? And we're very open in culture today. We don't feel like that there's a whole lot of concern for, other cultures, things, even people that hate us here in the United States. There are people that are willing to give, even these people that have religious hate for us, they're willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, sort of a thing, right? That's just how open we are in the West today, okay? And that has been beneficial to us in the West. But people have personality traits against openness. And one of the main reasons for that was because way back in the day, if you met another tribe of people and you were friendly with them, you would catch the viruses that they have that you don't have immunity to, and it could kill you. This is where these older ideas of like immigrants being dirty and filthy and disease ridden, that's where those stereotypes come from, is because you were likely to get sick from them, not because those people were lesser or more filthy, but just because you hadn't developed the immunity to it. So, if they say that they've had 4 confirmed cases in Mexico, if there is a breakout in Mexico, what is going to happen? I think that we all know that Trump would just be more than happy to close the border if he needs to. So breakout in Mexico, close the border. The political fallout from that will be something to study. Is all I can really say. That could be really weird. I remember the Disneyland. I've never heard of that. Disneyland measles out. Oh, I'm going to have to look that up when I get into work. Anyways, I understand there's definitely a risk there. I think that the market is overestimating the probability of that risk. Turtle method was basically 2 Donchian channels that use different periods to highlight the trend. So are you saying that the turtle method works, but it's just doesn't give very many trades? I have a lot of trades that work, but don't give you very many trades. That's with the edges that I have found on my own. That seems to be a defining factor of them. Is you're getting like 2 ticks for something that maybe happens once a week. I tell you what, though, these past 2 days, this new Wyatt thing that we're trying, it works. Now we've had pretty okay trends the past 2 days. But the thing that I like about it so much is that when we were not trending at the beginning of this session, I had no reason to get into a trade. It requires significant confirmation to take, and that has helped significantly. So I'm really feeling this one. We're gonna have to trade it quite a bit though to really get some good stats on it, huh? And we're gonna need to track stats. I don't think that we should include this week's because we're still figuring it out, and we also don't know how much these can run. I think that on average, we're still just going to get 3. But so far, that's what it's been. But I digress. So what'll happen is we'll get the 3, and then it will range, and then it'll go again. You want to hold it through that ranging bit. I would rather not. So, boom, boom, boom. The key to their method was the way they calculated position size and risk. Oh. Here is a big tip. If you want to take the time, look at Axia's Elite Trader Trading. Roll your charts back to the session and watch his entries and exits. Okay. Do you have one where he's trading the 10-year? You'd have to give us a specific video. But you know what? You can totally come back and comment on the video afterwards. So that's what we should do. What should we call today's video? Today is the 22nd. So let's say Choppy range turns into upside trend in bonds. That's what I'm going to call it, because I don't think that there's going to be a help. You still have the wrong name on Monday's video. Let's look. Your channel. Did I spell it wrong or something? What's wrong with that? Coronavirus. Maybe I spelt it wrong. I think I copied and pasted that from a tweet. Coronavirus? Coronavirus, is that right? I don't know if that fixed it, but... Oh, it was Martin Luther King Day. Oh, you're talking about the one before that. Yeah. It happened for an extended... What did it... I thought I changed it. No, it says Martin Luther King. Now, Monday, Martin Luther King holiday programming and research session. No, I changed it. It's good. By the way, we need to fix that pivot thing. I was too lazy when I got home yesterday. We'll fix it at some point. Maybe not until the weekend, though. Yes, but ask yourself why top traders have 6 to 10 monitors. They're not showing all DOMs. Yeah. So they want to be able to have the DOM for all of these markets. Like we want to only we are only looking at the treasury markets, but if you want to trade the equities and the oil markets and stuff like that, like honestly, we should have NQ and YM up on here, and we should have oil, and we should have gold, and we should have what else could we get? Maybe some of the grains and stuff. Like I can think of like 10 instruments that I could add on here if I had 6 monitors. When looking for it to rewatch how you debug the code, yeah, or you should be able to rewatch that and figure it out. It's just a question of like, once you get into the debugger and you get in there, if it requires a change in the if then logic, that's going to be hard to sort out. But let's at least confirm why it's happening. This is a really weird bug. Yeah, Ace says Seth looks like he got someone to buy a $5,000 course in the thumbnail. Yeah, I wish. I should sell. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna turn my infant child into an indicator, and sell it for ridiculous amounts of money. And it will go viral and it'll be on CNBC and everything like that. We're going to do it. Anyways, E-mini, come back. They're finally going to push through the open. Well, I don't think that we're going to find out because I've got to go, guys. So, good day. Thanks for all the likes. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, stay profitable.